the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
All right, back to phone calls. Let's go to Brian in Tampa. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, good morning, Patrick.
Good morning.
Thanks for taking my call. I'll see.
You're welcome.
Really have kind of a two-part question. It's both are when and when, so I'll see if I can kind of get through it. And it relates to the Mass where we have transubstantiation. When does that occur? Does it initially occur when the priest puts his hands initially over the bread and the chalice? Does it occur when he raises the host? Does it occur when he raises the chalice? Or is it at the end of the Eucharistic prayer, right? When through him, with him, in him? That's kind of my first question.
Let's start there. Let's pause.
My second question. Yeah,
let's pause. Only because I want to make sure I can remember what the first question was. So the act or the moment of consecration is part of one liturgical action on the part of the priest. And the liturgical action begins with what's called the epiclesis, sometimes is pronounced epiclesis as we anglicize it. And that's where the priest, at that moment of the offertory, he joins his hands together so his four fingers are touching and his palms are facing downward over the gifts. And that's where he's praying, he's invoking that the Holy Spirit would come down upon these gifts, come down upon them like the dewfall is the language of one of the Eucharistic prayers. That's where this Eucharistic process or this Eucharistic action of consecration begins. But the specific moments when it occurs as a singular reality would be when the priest says the words, "This is my body." When he says that in English, or "Hoc est enum corpus meus" in Latin, that's when the transubstantiation for that element, in this case the bread, occurs. Moments later, when he utters the words in English, and the corresponding in Latin or any other language, "This is the chalice of my blood," when he says those words, "This is my body and this is my blood," that's where this singular moment of transubstantiation for that element takes place. The Church would remind us that it's part of one liturgical action. The Church doesn't really, it's not really helpful to divide it into little points along the way, even though we can see these moments within this one liturgical action. But it should be understood as a liturgical action. So that's when transubstantiation takes place specifically.
I got it. We don't bifurcate it. It's one entire action of...
Right. One that has two moments that are separated in time by only a matter of seconds, but yes. So when he says with the bread, "This is my body." Now the formula is longer, but that's the essential element. At that moment, the miracle of transubstantiation takes place. But the contents of the chalice have not yet been transubstantiated. That takes place, you might say, if we're going to punctuate it, when he says, "This is the chalice of my blood," or "This is my blood." But it's more helpful, I would say, to think of that as a unit, that both of those things are part of a single action. Anyway, I don't want to belabor that point, but I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. It helps tremendously. And then my other question is, when do we believe as Catholics it first occurred? Did it occur after Pentecost, when the Holy Spirit came down? Or did it occur at the Last Supper?
Definitely at the Last Supper, definitely. Because the Lord, as you know, when you read the accounts, he says, when he took bread and he said, "This is my body." We can note that he didn't say, "This will symbolize my body eventually," or "This symbolizes my body," or "This will become my body." He says, "This is my body and this is my blood." And just to give you one patristic footnote that can help shed some light on this. So in St. Augustine's commentary on the Psalms, he takes up this question about the Last Supper, and he says, it's a very striking passage. He said, "At the Last Supper, when the Lord said these words, he was holding his own body in his own hands." So transubstantiation occurred at the Last Supper, even before, in history, in time, his crucifixion and death took place. They're inextricably united. But the reality of his sacrifice on the cross the following day was made present in the Mass at the Last Supper. Isn't that amazing when you think about it?
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. If there's not anything more, I will recommend a book to you, Brian. It's called The Hidden Manna by Father James O'Connor. It's wonderful, very lucid and illuminating on this topic. I think you'd find it very helpful.
Great. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. Appreciate the call.
That was the Best of the Week on Relevant Radio. The best way to listen to the Best of the Week is on the Relevant Radio app. Free and always free. Download and share the #1 free Catholic app today in the App Store.